Hi everyone and welcome to another painting tutorial. So today I'm going to take you through how I painted this Primaris intercessor of the Marauders Space Marine chapter. So I thought this was a good opportunity to once again use one of the new contrast paints. So over a white scar undercoat, I'm just going to do a base coat of 50/50 Bad Moon Yellow and contrast medium. And just going to aim to apply that evenly all over the power armor. And give the first coat of contrast paint, I'd say around a half hour mark should do just fine. So give that half an hour, and I'm going to then apply a second coat, once again just all over the power armor. So with the Bad Moon Yellow contrast now dry, I decided just to do I wanted to do some battle damage just around the armor, the power armor. So I'm just going to use some snakebite leather contrast just straight from the pot. And just on my paint palette there, and as you can see I've gotten most of the paint off of the sponge. Now this is just a little cutout of my Warhammer case, however you can use just a standard sponge, kitchen sponge would work just fine. And as you can see, as I mentioned, most of the paint is off that, so I'm just going to apply that, so mostly around the legs. But also other parts of the power armor as well. And now as you can see, I just wanted some larger scratch marks on the power armor, so I haven't taken as much off this time. And now just to begin shading the power armor, I decided to use a 50/50 mix of the snakebite leather and contrast medium. Now for this process, as you can see, I'm using my Raphael 8404 size 0 brush for this. Now generally you want to avoid using your good brushes, or your more expensive brushes I should say, for details such as this. However, as you can see, I really am not putting much on the brush at all, and I'm just really trying to keep it focused to the tip of the brush. And so long as you wash the paint off every now and then, just dry your brush and then get back into shading the miniature with the contrast paint, you really shouldn't have any issues with dulling the brush a lot faster than you would otherwise not using contrast paint. It's just for, when it comes to details such as this, where you really want to avoid getting any excess shade onto the power armor on such a vibrant color such as yellow. It's definitely something I'd recommend. So just continue shading the entirety of the power armor, and as I said, just be as careful as you can not to hit any of that Bad Moon Yellow. And don't worry so much if you do though, because we will be highlighting the power armor shortly. So with the power armor now shaded and the battle damage done, I decided just to do a simple dry brush of 50/50 of Flash Kits Yellow and Dawn Yellow by Citadel. As I mentioned in my Mantis Warriors painting tutorial, the retro one I did, I really wanted to try and keep, so any of the Space Marines that I'll be doing with contrast paints, wherever possible, I want to try and keep the process of painting them as simple as possible. Which is why I decided to go for a dry brush of this, as opposed to doing a bunch of edge highlighting. Because the yellow itself, especially for the Bad Moon Yellow, as you can see, is so vibrant. And I thought a dry brush would work really well over this particular contrast. And now just using some Dawn Yellow, I'm just going to begin picking out some of the battle damage. Now you don't have to pick out every single little bit of the power damage that you've done. I'm just going to sort of try and aim for the larger parts of the battle damage that I've done. And just as a base coat of the lenses, I decided to use the new Bile Red contrast paint. And for this one, I'm just going to be using that straight from the pot. And as you can see as well, I did avoid painting the lenses with the Bad Moon Yellow contrast, just so I could apply the Bile Red straight over the White Scar undercoat. And then just for the gun itself and the pouches, I just decided to do, so this is just a coat of Black Legion, just straight from the pot. So just as carefully as I can, I'm going to be applying that to all of those parts of the model. And now to begin highlighting the lenses, I decided to go with Evil Sun Scarlet. I figured it would be quite a nice highlight over the Bile Red. And just a small amount of white acrylic just to finish off the lenses. So as you can see, barely anything on my paint, and just focusing that point at the end of the lenses. Now I did use Dead White by Vallejo for this, however any acrylic white will always work just fine. And now for the chapter symbol, I decided to stick with Evil Sun Scarlet. And as I always say when painting chapter symbols, especially for the first time, always have a reference in front of you, whether it's to something that you've drawn down yourself, or if it's something that you can have on your phone or on your computer, like I do, if you're working in front of your computer. And essentially just going to be working the shape of the flames first, and then the fireball itself, of course, and then moving on to the other details of the chapter symbol. And now with the red now done of the fireball, I'm just going to be painting the sword. And now for this part, you really want to make sure that you have a nice consistency with your paint. So not too thick, not too thin. I'll just be using some black by Vallejo. And I've just added a little bit more water there. And I'm going to take most of that off my brush and just begin painting the sword. Because this is black over yellow, or if it were any other vibrant color like that, you just want to really make sure to minimize any errors. As I often say, it's always that much harder to go back and correct it as opposed to just taking your time and just getting it right the first time. And just on the subject of chapter symbols, I have to say, this is absolutely one of the easier chapter symbols that I've freehanded. And I also love the way that the red and the black looks over the yellow. It's definitely a chapter worth checking out. Had a lot of fun painting this one. So with most of the major details now done, I decided just to keep it simple for the remaining details. So I'm just going to use some Dawnstone to highlight the chest eagle. And this will also apply for the gun pouches as well, and the gun as well. And once again, just for the metallic parts, same as the black parts that I've just highlighted with the Dawnstone, I'm just going to keep it simple and do some Ironbreaker. And I had also shaded this with some Black Legion and Contrast Medium over the Ironbreaker, and I didn't actually touch it up with more Ironbreaker. However, you can if you find that it looks a little bit messy. I was pretty happy with how it looked, and I'm just going to finish that off with some Stormhost Silver as well. And here are some photos of the completed Marauders Space Marine Intercessor. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see how I painted the Emperor's Finest Golden Arm for my own unique army that I'm working on, I do have a video on that, and I also have a video on the urban warfare bases that I do for my Space Marines. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you again in the next one.